You can get anywhere from like $1,000 to $50,000 from them. That costs $7,000.
Hours in probably 90 degrees.
Was $550. My name is Brandon.
I'm Tegan.
And we're the owners of PizzaMi. We started the food truck with an idea. We kind of created the idea when we were traveling in Europe. We really loved the concept that they use in a lot of places where they have fresh food and fresh ingredients, and
they're really connected to like the farm and like the source of all of their ingredients.
But with that idea, we didn't really know what we wanted to do. At that time, we were currently living in Chicago and we were kind of unsure what we wanted. We were both bartenders. She's been in the industry for 10 plus years. I've been in for 7. And we kind of were just fumbling with the idea of what to do next. We were kind of over Chicago and the big city scene, and she went to Western, and we had a lot of friends that kind of pushed us to Grand Rapids, and we made the jump to Grand Rapids. We happened to just move during COVID.
March 2020.
So we moved.
It was a good time.
We moved in, we kind of were just like fumbling with the idea, and then with COVID comes a lot of great ideas for a lot of people, and I had a lot of time on my hands to really figure out pizza. I had already been cooking pizza for a while, not great pizza, but I had a lot of time, YouTube, read books, a lot of practice, a lot of friend cookouts, a lot of like trying to figure it out, a lot of trial and error. And from there, she came up with the idea of like, we want to start a restaurant, we want to start a bar. We have no business background, we don't have the financial means to buy a building. So what's the best thing we could come up with was a food truck. And from there, it was kind of like figure it out and play with the idea. And it was a 3-year process of just working in a bar, kind of slowly figuring it out, trying to figure out, because we had no idea what we were doing.
Learning about Grand Rapids, figuring out our market and how we would ideally fit in it.
And we met a lot of great people bartending and working just throughout the city, and I think that really helped us. If we would have came to Grand Rapids, tried to start a food truck right away, I don't think we'd be doing nearly as well as we're doing right now, because a lot of people within Grand Rapids are helping us. A lot of people are marketing for us. Word of mouth is great. Being at City Bill right now was a friend helping us out and connecting us, and it's kind of just like we are where we are right now because of the people in the community, which is another reason why we were attracted to Grand Rapids.
It has a really good sense of community. People are very supportive and want to see you succeed. So that's been really, really great.
And what led you to get the truck? Why did you go that route?
Obviously, it's a smaller truck, and we didn't really know what we were doing with the idea of the food truck. We knew what we wanted to do. We knew we kind of wanted to build, but we were unsure. And we had an opportunity that came up with this van. It presented itself, and we kind of just took it. We were given a really good offer for it. From there, we got the truck, and we kind of just ran with the idea. We really didn't look back from there. She's really great at planning and designing and scheming. So from there, I kind of told her or showed her like what I'm looking for oven and space and whatnot, and we kind of just continued to play with that idea, and really it developed into this. It took a lot of like reaching out to people. I drove down to Jacksonville, had it fitted by a company that did a really good job, flew back, waited a couple months, went back down, drove it right back up, and then from there it was like, now we got to figure everything else out. And again, it was like, I can't take all the credit. We had a lot of people showing us what to do, helping us what to do, and it was just kind of like continuing to just trial and error and figure it out as we go, and
which we're still doing. We're still figuring
we're still
a
figuring it
lot
out. Like being that we are where we are right now, it's just kind of like we're late to the game. It's food truck season, so we're kind of just like, I'm constantly emailing. I'm probably bugging a lot of people, emailing, calling, putting my name on the list, putting for next year, trying to just slide into events. If someone's like, hey, we need a food truck, we're in. You know, we're just gonna say yes. I've either been prepping or working every day. She's also been prepping and working every day, so it's kind of just like where we're at right now. So when we pull up, this is it. We're just gonna
we'll unbungee this.
Unbungee it, open her up, everything works really well. And then from there, you'll be kind of surprised how much space you have. We've done 3 people in here comfortably. She'll do a lot of the cutting and the toppings of the pizza. We'll have a guy order, and I'm doing all the making and the prepping. Everything is made to order, so our times can start adding up a little bit, but that is part of the process of doing everything the way we wanted to do it. That's just how it is. But then when we come in, I would start off by turning everything on. It's all controlled right here. Everything is well labeled. turn it on and off from right here. And then from there, the oven, this is the Pizza Master oven. It takes about 40 minutes to heat up. So we give ourselves about 40 minutes or so to make sure it heats up properly. And this gets up to 800 degrees. You get in and out in 3 minutes. From there, she'll prep everything right here, and then we pass on over.
How long does a pizza take to make and then bake?
So the pizza, depending on what the pizza is, if it's a red sauce or if it's barbecue chicken, it could take me like 30 seconds to make it. But if it's like a pesto, that's gonna be a little bit longer. It's gonna take a minute, 2 minutes, depending on how cold the sauce is. We always try to make sure we have sauce at room temperature. And then once it goes in, it takes no more than 3 minutes. And then from there, it's coming to her. So the whole process, when we did Bridge Blast over on 6th Street Bridge, we were doing about 35 to 40 pizzas an hour. And that was our first big event. That was our first time running with 3 people. That was our first time making over 100 pizzas. It was definitely a learning process. We sold out. We definitely could have done a lot more, but as first time food truck people, we were very happy with what we did, and we learned a lot. And from there, like, this shelf wasn't here at the time. We put this shelf in. It was just like, what can we do to make the operation a lot better?
What do you think is one key thing to have in a kitchen or a food truck kitchen?
For us personally, we love having the extra storage. We wish we had a little bit more storage, but we love being able to keep our dough cold on site. Everything, all the dough is kept in here. So all our dough is kept cold in here. We can keep over 130. This shelf's not in here. We can keep over 130 plus in here. Extra, everything is in here. We're still figuring it out. Still a whole process. We even have a 3 sink compartment, which is crazy to think about in this tiny little truck. It's definitely something that, like, you could come back here in 2 months, we could have a new piece of equipment. It's something that is forever changing and growing, and we're figuring it out. We're asking a lot of questions, doing a lot of research, and trying to figure out what best suits us. But so far, I think with our design, we love what we're doing so far. We love our product that we're able to make.
And I like how we did it. For example, we just put this up today, and we had boxes here. And like, our philosophy as we were doing it is we started and we didn't put too much in place. We figured out what we're organically gonna need. So like this shelf, for example, we didn't have this on our first week. Brandon was like, he had everything shoved up here, and he was like, okay, I do need a shelf right here. So then we put that in. Then we figured out, like, as we were passing gloves back and forth, that we would very much need one in between. So we figured out more organically what we would need before we put it up there and then redid it.
You asked what a key thing is that a lot of people think. An AC. An AC is huge.
Oh, it's so nice.
For
a pizza food truck, or probably any food truck.
I mean, I'm sitting by 800-degree oven. It's still hot for me, but overall, the AC is something that if you can figure it out, I would definitely invest in. It's one of those things where it's like, for those 4 months or 3 months of Michigan heat, it's worth it, because that's your prime season. You don't want to be dripping sweat trying to cook food the whole time. It's not fun. The AC is definitely one of those things where we were asked if we wanted it, and we were kind of in limbo about it, but he in Florida said, you're probably gonna want it, and so we did it.
He was right.
Say how much the van was when you purchased it?
The van was a good deal.
Very good deal. A good connection.
Yeah, a very good friend who owns a custom woodworking company. They ship all their tables out across the country, and they were getting all new vans, and he reached out to me, knew what I was looking for, asked me if it would work, told him I would get back to him. We then were like creating the idea, and we realized we're like, I think we can get this to work. We're just like, you know, if people are gonna look at it, it's gonna be small, but it's gonna work for what we need. And then from there, I mean, like, the van itself, we had a lot of work done to it. We've had the transmissions done. We've had a lot of things done before we even fitted it out, because we didn't want to make sure we were buying a lemon. We made sure it was going to sustain us all through the summer, and we weren't going to break down. So that expense was pricey, but it's worth it at the end. And then the label, the logo and all that, you know, that you don't really realize that you have to do that, and then that adds up. So this and the back was $550. We're gonna have a local artist paint the other side. We're gonna try to just, you know, pay them, you know, let them showcase their art a little bit, because I don't really need this logo everywhere. I kind of want to, you know, make it a little bit fun.
And it's also kind of like reinvesting back into Michigan, paying someone else to be creative, which definitely goes with our philosophy.
Do you have to have an operator's license to drive this?
Nope, you just need a driver's license, your standard driver's license.
And do you guys have to have any other, like, insurance or anything else like that?
So we have our licensing to operate food out of the truck. We have insurance and licensing to operate out of the commissary kitchen. Then, like, within Grand Rapids, you have to have your licensing. So it's all, and that was a a process that we were learning as well. So as we're like talking to the fire department, they're like, it's like, well, what's the next step I should do? And then they'll kind of, if you ask, most people are more than willing to help, especially when they know it's your first time. They're going to be more than willing to help you. You just kind of have to ask. It may come across like you don't know what you're doing, but I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm definitely just going to ask, because you don't want to pull up to an event or pull up somewhere or email somebody and they'll be like, do you have this? And you'll be like, oh no, I don't have that. So it took a lot to figure out, but you need insurancing or licensing wherever you're prepping food, whether it's the truck, the kitchen, you need to be insured and licensed.
Can you talk a little bit about what other events, what are you guys planning on doing?
Right now, we are mainly doing bars and breweries just because that's kind of what's available. Like, there's a lot of food, there's a lot of opportunity in Grand Rapids, as there's over 100 plus food trucks, which is another reason why we felt more comfortable going into it. But a lot of those food truck events book up in spring and in late winter. So we kind of are doing these smaller events. One, it's gonna help us really figure out our flow and figure out our process and really figure everything else out. So we are happy to where we are right now, but we definitely come next year are gonna be looking to get into events more than just being at bars and breweries, as there's more foot traffic, there's more sales to be made and whatnot. So that's what our end goal is. We are trying to get into like weddings or late night wedding options and block parties. People are looking for that, but as of right now, we are doing bars and breweries, but we're trying to get into the event scene for next year.
What does your like day-to-day look like throughout the week?
Right now, our day-to-day is kind of, sometimes it flows a little bit better than other days. Sometimes I can get here and I realize that I forgot the pizza cutter and
the barbecue sauce
or something. That's just because, it's just a mad scramble right now, really trying to figure out that flow. I know it's all gonna come together. Like, we're not disorganized people, but just with that process right now. But day-to-day, when we're here, if we're coming to an event, we'll go to our commissary kitchen, prep anything that really needs to be prepped, load the truck up.
How long does that take you?
Prepping everything is done by me right now. All our ingredients are all farm fresh ingredients. So we really try to source everything from farms across Grand Rapids and Michigan in general. So we're getting our cheese over in Ann Arbor. We're getting our meats off of Wealthy Street at Lewis Earl Butchers. We're getting a lot of our stuff just local. So a lot of it is prepping. Nothing is really being just opened and put into a jar and thrown on a pizza. So it does take a lot of hours and a lot of time. The dough takes about 4 hours for the most part. So if we're not at an event and we're not doing anything, I'm probably prepping. And then when we are, I'm probably prepping the morning of and then loading the truck up and doing it again and then cleaning. And it's just kind of an ongoing cycle right now. And I know in the next couple months, we'll really have it down to where I can prep a lot of things, take a couple of days off, and then.
Can you talk about some of the expenses that come about?
I mean, all the little things that you don't really think of, the bowls, the pots, the pans, but then like menus, added on equipment, a lot of it, does add up. We definitely are figuring it out as we go. We'll realize that we need something. Everything that we got in there, we went more new with it because we wanted to make sure it was not going to fall apart on us. The oven is a very high-end oven, but it is something that we wanted, so we paid the expense for it.
As far as like going into a food truck, the reason we went with this instead of like buying another food truck is because he really liked Pizza Masters, the oven that we have, and that's like the main thing. We don't need like fryers or a grill or anything like that. So if we would have gotten a truck, it wouldn't have been worth the investment into it. We would be scrapping most of the equipment. So our main thing is the pizza oven.
That costs $7,000. It's electric. It's an electric oven. Everything in the truck is electric. We don't have any propane in there. There's no wood. It's not a wood burning, but the oven does get to 800 degrees, so we can cook the pizzas in 2 to 3 minutes, which is going to give us a really good out time without losing that time and that efficiency. So we're still able to get a nice flow.
And for electric, it does mimic wood very well. The way it heats up the dough, he was very excited about that.
Can you guys talk about some of your advertising?
Definitely leveraging word of mouth. We have our social media, it's PizzaMi Truck, and our website is pizzamiTruck.com. As far as like our logo, this is like the state of Michigan in a basil leaf, which I feel like you can kind of see on this, mainly with the Michigan, but I wanted it to kind of be subtle. But as far as like advertising, we're totally word of mouth so far. We want to be very available online and like constant online. So whoever does follow us is reminded what we're doing often, but we have not like paid for anything yet. So far, we've just made the website ourselves.
Can you talk about your plans for the future?
We don't have a clear vision with what we want. I mean, we've talked about it. We're coming more to an idea that we're gonna stay with one truck, and then when another opportunity presents itself, we wanna expand more into a brick and mortar. If that brick and mortar is pizza, it is, but we're not sold. We do a bar, we could do a cafe. We are very much open to the idea of whatever presents itself.
The thing that will remain constant is like our philosophy behind it. Whatever we do will be like farm to table. It will be as sustainable as we can reasonably be, and we'll try to work with as many like local companies and partnerships as we can. But what we do specifically, we're pretty open to it at this point.
So then why did you guys choose pizza for the truck?
That was my idea. I like pizza. Pizza's a very, I don't know, it's a very universal connecting thing. You can do a lot of things with pizza, but also with pizza you have bread, and I can change that up at any point. If I really wanted to just go sandwiches, I could change that up. And being that I'm creating the dough and doing that, it doesn't take much to change that whole process. Pizza, I think you can park in front of a bar, in front of a brewery, in front of a winery, go to an event, and you are a common scale, and you can take that many different ways with gluten-free, vegan, vegetarian. It really has no limits as long as you are open to the idea. And then from there, you know, we just kind of where we went with that idea. And then we really loved like the European, Italian culture, and that really is also something they really do with the cheeses and their tomatoes and their fresher ingredients. So
it's also something we could both eat every day and not get tired of.
So this is our menu. I created the menu for the most part. A lot of it can be, you can look at it and you see traditional stuff like barbecue chicken, margarita, but a lot of it was just a lot of like trial and error, try some things out, do a lot of research. If I said I created everything from scratch, I'd be lying. A lot of it, you know, you can just, there's not really a lot of original thoughts nowadays, but it's like looking up my favorite pizzerias across the country and kind of just playing with it. And then from there, like I said, a lot of our stuff is farm to table. So if I went to a butcher and I tried this meat, I'm like, how can I put this on a pizza? So the Piedmont has spellicate, which is a house-made pork shoulder from Louis Earl, and it kind of just fell into my lap when they were out of a certain meat, and they're like, we'll try this, and it kind of really worked out.
Which for anyone who fact checks, the original meat was from the Piedmont area in Italy, and then the new meat was no longer from Piedmont, but at that point we had already committed to it. So the spellicate, I think, is from the Parma region, but it works so much better with what we ended up having.
But the overall menu, it's gonna change. I constantly will pitch new ideas. She'll definitely tell me to reel it in a little bit.
Yeah.
I definitely can get too far out there. Like if I had all my ideas out there, I don't think our operation would be good flow. I get too trigger happy and creative. But for the most part, a lot of bell peppers come in season late July. We're gonna throw bell peppers on there. We're working on getting mushrooms, and all the sauces that we have are house made besides our barbecue sauce. So all those are vegan options. So we're trying to really make sure that we have that as an option. Our Italian icy was definitely her idea, and she can take the floor on that one.
So he was all about pizza. I was like, wouldn't it be great? Because we went to a couple of festivals and there weren't too many drink options. There are like trucks that just do drinks, but we were like, wouldn't it be great if we can do both in one? Is there one simple solution? So we both, being in like the bar industry, we've worked with like frozen slushies a lot. So we were like, we'll just do non-alcoholic as like a nice option in addition to the food if anyone wants that. So we landed with like an Italian icy. We'll be switching out flavors as like lavender comes into season. We'll probably do a blueberry lavender. Right now we just have lemon basil, but that's like a nice addition to the pizza, and it helps us sell ourselves at different places having both.
Being where we're located depends on the best sellers of the menu. When we're over on the east side of town, we were very surprised that our best seller is probably our feta pesto, which kind of threw me off because sometimes I'm not like going in thinking that people are gonna be like, I've given a feta pesto, and someone's like, what is this? And then they try it and they're like, well, that's really good. And then like that's been by far our best seller. I think a lot of it does to do with our goat cheese feta from Zigerman's Creamery over in Ann Arbor. My personal favorite is the spicy. That's just fresh jalapenos, a spicy capicola. So it's just a very like subtle spice, but not too spicy.
I go through different phases on what's my favorite. Right now, actually, the Country Garden is my favorite. It was the Bianco y Pepe. I'm vegetarian. Country Garden when Brandon first said that I'm gonna do summer squash because it's in season, I was like, I don't know about all of that. It sounded really weird to me, but he somehow made it really good. There's a lemon wedge on top, so you squeeze the lemon on top and it's nice and acidic and it's delightful.
Our first like 2 weeks, we didn't have any logo, so it was just like selling pizza out of a white van.
It was it could come off very creepy.
So once we got the logos, but it's like we kind of have to once we get our name out there more, I think it's not because it's not your stereotypical food truck. I think people drive by and don't think much of it because they think of your FedEx looking trucks and your your giant, you know, even like your trailers and whatnot. So I think a lot of people will drive by and be unsure of what they're looking at, but we have no regrets with our decision. It definitely fits everything that we need. And if we need to expand and grow, we'll come across that if that ever does come. But this is definitely for her and I to just operate and throw in another person. It works wonderfully.
What's been like the biggest positive and what's been like a negative?
Meeting more connections within Grand Rapids, meeting new people. We're really not big beer people. That's just how it is. We're not big just beer people in general, but Ed at City Built is a wonderful person and he's a great person to talk to and he's so helpful. We've talked to the owner of Avant. She's wonderful. Like I think that in itself is just learning new people, meeting new people, new connections, really kind of getting our roots more into Grand Rapids has probably been so far the biggest positive.
And the biggest negative was on our very first opening day, which was a Thursday. That Wednesday night, the commissary kitchen lost power. So we spent hours in probably 90 degrees trying to prep the dough. And then even once we were done, the next day we were freaking out that the dough wouldn't like properly proof. And it was a emotional battle because we were like, do we just call it off? Do we just keep going? So we just kept going and the dough ended up tasting really good. It was wonky, it was like oval and misshapen just because of the proofing process being disrupted, but everything worked out. Everyone loved our pizza and said that it was delicious. So we just kept on going and I'm so glad that we did because that was an easy thing to give up on, I would say.
Can you guys share how much it costs to be part of the commissary kitchen?
A straight flat fee to park there, which is standard. That is $650 and you can plug in there so you can keep your coolers on and you can dump your gray water, you can wash everything, and then it adds up when you want to, you have cold storage, frozen. We don't have any frozen right now, we're just doing fresh. And then we have dry storage that adds up a little bit more. And then,
for example, that's like what, $15 a shelf?
It's like $15 a shelf or
so
30
how many
bucks,
shelves
$30. So all in all, I think it's like $800, I think, just to park there. And then like to use a bunch of hours on their kitchen, it costs a little bit more. So it's like when you're gonna prep as much as you can all at once. Don't really waste time just because it does add up. But you need a commissary kitchen unless you can operate everything out of your truck. So like we're not having a bakery make our dough. So I need a mixer or I do it by hand. So commissary kitchen is necessary. There's no way around it unless you have that space to be able to store a bunch of things. So, and then that was also a learning process, trying to figure out where is a commissary kitchen, what is the best one to do. There was a couple. We chose Prep Space because of its location, the people around there. There's a lot of food trucks that stay there. That also helped us gain more events and more understanding of what to do. And everyone in the food truck community is super helpful.
They're really
If you
nice.
ask questions, they will answer it and they'll guide you through the whole process. There's people that have been doing it for a year, 6 years, 7 years. They're so helpful, and so that's kind of why we chose Prep Space, because of that whole community.
Do they provide you guys with equipment and things like that, and then you just are essentially paying for the space and the time there?
They provide like the commercial kitchen, and so you just rent it out. You just time block it out. And it's 24 hours. So let's say I run out of dough Saturday night. We did that. We sold out when we were at Bridge Blast, and we had to go to the apartment lounge. Well, I didn't have any ingredients, so I was still up at 3 a.m. booked it out and was just prepping the whole time. And that's a mistake on my end, learning, trying to figure out everything. But it's 24 hours. You just book it out. Our food truck is powered by this bad boy. It is a Durawatt 13.5 kilowatt generator. We were gonna go with your Cummins motor, but they're so back ordered but this is like the next best thing. It's diesel ran because everything on the truck is electric, and the Pizza Master oven is something that I did not want to get away from. I didn't want to do gas or propane, and I didn't want to do wood fire with the size of the truck. We needed a bigger generator, but this thing works great. We've yet to have a problem with it.
Is it powering specifically in the truck?
So everything in the truck is powered by that. The only thing is, I mean, even the hot water heater is powered by it because it's an electric hot water. Everything in there is electric. There is no gas propane, so this powers everything. But also, we could also just plug in. If we're at a place that could take the amount of power that the Pizza Master requires, we can plug in. But when we're like plugging at the commissary kitchen, we can just plug in, just turn the fridges on. But for the most part, this is it. This powers everything. Surprisingly, it's not that loud. It is loud for a generator, but for as much power as it generates, it is very quiet.
So tell us how you guys came about like getting the money to invest into your truck.
That was another process of in itself. We reach out to banks and we reach out to other loan companies, and most of them are too big for what we need, and we don't have the history to secure the loans that we need. A lot of people won't give us what we need for obvious reasons. We don't have the history. So it just took some research, and she stumbled upon Grow, which is a nonprofit organization within Grand Rapids. You kind of submit a plan and whatnot, and then they reach out to you and you tell them how much you need. There's a maximum number. You can get anywhere from like $1,000 to $50,000 from them, and it's a nonprofit company, so you have to you have to do your business plan, you have to submit like projections. It's very much like they want you to do your homework to make sure that you are a feasible candidate for them, because a lot of it is like there are a lot of grants that go into them. There's a lot of stuff that there's a lot of risk for them, because we are two people that have no history and we're just kind of word of mouthing what we want.
But it's a very good like introductory step before we go and maybe refinance with the banks for a more idealistic interest rate. It helps it take that first step, which is the point of Grow.
But then you also, as you're doing all these things that they require, you can really look at your business plan and your projections and kind of figure out like, we made a mistake here, or we need to adjust this. And they're not just a nonprofit going, here's $50,000, have fun. They were like, we're gonna write you a check. We want to do checkups with you. We wanna check in. We want you to check in. Feel free to reach out, because they are local, and they also, a lot of them have other businesses, or they've had success with other businesses. They were willing to help. We've sat down numerous times with them to go over things when we had questions, and they've also set us up with events. They're very hands-on. They really want to help you. They're not just another company just giving you money and then wanting their money back.
Do you guys have 3 tips of advice or things that you've learned so far for other customers or other people?
Leverage your network, absolutely. Try to get to know people that you would want to work with one day. I think that's been one of the biggest helps for us, is definitely like who we know, which is a very common answer. It's not what you know, it's who you know, but it really does help. And people that you may not expect to help do end up being super helpful, I would say. So just keep your mind open.
Never close your mind down on one idea. Really keep it open and always be willing to expand and grow your idea. Things are gonna pop up. Take them for what they are, and it's probably gonna benefit you. And you really won't limit your opportunity by just constantly keeping your mind open. Like, always be willing to learn and listen. I've just been reaching out to a lot of people. I've just nonstop reached out to a lot of people. Like, we're not from Grand Rapids. We don't have family that lives in Michigan. It's just her and I. So it's been a lot of just reaching out, and I've just nonstop emailed, called people, and from there it's just like you grow good relationships and whatnot, and it's kind of benefited us now, and we are able to book up a lot faster by just constantly reaching out and being out there.
And not being hesitant.
I am more of an introvert when it comes to that. I don't really like putting myself out there. So it is something that is uncomfortable for me, but it's kind of like, it's the name of the game. It's what I got into. So I will put myself out there at this point and make mistakes, but I'm willing to do that for the business.